This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning for October 10, 2023, suspected electrical fire at Mandeville Police Station damaged the superintendent's office. A fire believed to have been caused by an electrical defect resulted in damage to the office of Manchester's head of police Superintendent Shane McCullough on Monday. The news was told that about 7 p.m., smoke was detected coming from the superintendent's office at the Mandeville Police Station. Further checks were made and it was observed that appliances in the office were on fire. An alarm was raised and the fire brigade alerted. 2 units responded and the firefighters extinguished the fire. Sources said a microwave, a refrigerator, and air conditioning unit were among the items damaged during the fire. Man accused of threatening woman with handgun in Hanover charged. A 21-year-old man who has been accused of using a firearm to threaten a woman he reportedly has intimate relations with in the Rock Spring district in Hanover has been charged. Charged is Calcito Smith, otherwise called Devin, a mason of Wood Church District, Kingsville in the parish. Smith has been charged with a possession of prohibited weapon, assault at a common law, kidnapping at a common law, and using a firearm to commit a felony. Reports from Kingsville police are that about 3:20 p.m. sometime last month, Smith visited the complainant's home in Rock Spring and demanded that the complainant, with whom he shares an intimate relationship, leave with him. When his demands were not met, he reportedly brandished a handgun and pointed it at the complainant inside their home. He then held onto the complainant's hand and forcefully took her from the house, whilst threatening to harm the complainant and her family if they contacted the police. He subsequently fled the area with the complainant in a motor car. The police were alerted and Smith was apprehended during an operation on Wednesday, September 27 in Montego Bay, St. James, and the complainant was found and rescued. On Friday, October 6, an identification parade was held and Smith was positively pointed out by the complainant. He was charged on Saturday, October 7. Police seized 600 pounds of Ganja in St. Elizabeth. Lawmen attached to the Area 3 narcotics team seized over 600 pounds of Ganja during a special operation in Northampton, St. Elizabeth on Saturday. According to police reports, between the hours of 10:30 a.m. and 12:15 p.m., police acting on information went to a location in the mentioned community and the premises was searched. On scene, the police 4 men evaded the area, leaving the contraband behind, which was seized. Further investigations are pending. Firearm seized in St. James, 3 men in custody. One Uzi submachine firearm with several rounds of assorted ammunition was seized following a targeted raid in Hurlock, St. James yesterday. 3 men were taken into custody. Reports from the police are that about 3:20 p.m., lawmen conducted an operation in the area and the premises was searched. During the search, the firearm and ammunition were recovered along with a ballistic vest. The identity of the men in custody is being withheld pending further investigations. Witness and the co-accused tried 4 times to kill Tonya MacDonald. Devlin Minot, the man who said he subcontracted Oscar Barnes to help him kill Tonya MacDonald, who was the second wife of Portland businessman Everton Beach Stout MacDonald, said they made 4 failed attempts to kill her at her home in Dolphin Bay, Portland. Minot, a fisherman who said he did a little farming as well, is the second witness to take the stand in the murder trial of MacDonald and Barnes in the Home Circuit Court in downtown Kingston. Both are being tried for the July 20, 2020 killing of MacDonald's wife, Tonya. Her partially burnt body was found with her throat slashed and had multiple stab wounds. She was found beside her raised motor vehicle on the Sherwood Forest Main Road in Portland. Minot is currently serving a 19.5-year prison sentence for his role as the contractor in the killing. Minot pleaded guilty for his participation in the crime. Mr. Barnes and I went to Beach's Stout Antonia's home about 4 times. The first time we entered from the back of the yard. We took a taxi and asked the taximan to wait on us. Me, the taximan, and Mr. Barnes came out of the car which was parked outside on the road. I went to the front of the house. I placed Mr. Barnes beside a plant in the yard by the garage. The taximan was standing beside Mr. Barnes. We were just waiting on Mrs. Mack, but she didn't turn up. I was there from about 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. I went back to Mr. Barnes and said, I don't know how she don't come home yet. The taximan said to just leave that alone because it's not going to work. I told him that it was something that had to be done. On the second occasion, according to Minot in his testimony last week, they waited on Tonya, but when she drove in, she arrived with a helper. He told the court that Tonya was spared on that occasion because the helper was there and she had locked the grill shortly after Tonya went inside the house. The witness said a taximan brought them to the location on the second occasion. The third time, it was just me and Barnes alone. When I saw Mr. Barnes, we shook hands and I told him we would go back again in the night. He said he was ready. I went inside a Chinese supermarket and bought a flask of rum, 2 Boom energy drinks and 5 Cravney. I gave them to Barnes and he said he was ready. We took a taxi and it was only me, Mr. Barnes and the driver were in the car. We were in the yard waiting on Mrs. Mack to come in. Mr. Barnes asked about what time she was going to come in. Mrs. Mack came about 10 p.m. The helper came out of the house, opened the veranda grill, and Mrs. Mack went in and locked it. I was talking to Mr. Barnes and told him that I didn't know how she just come and go in so. He said maybe she suspected something. We left the house and walked until we got a taxi to take us into the town. Minot said that on the fourth occasion, when he arrived at the house, he had a reason to believe that someone had spotted him and the Barnes accessing the yard. I told him that we have to do it tonight. I told him that we had to kill Mrs. Mack tonight. He said, as long as you're ready, I am ready. I told him that when we reach out there, we had to reach at a time nobody no see we. When we went into the yard, Mr. Beachy Stout called on the phone and told me to stand down. He then hung up the phone, the witness said, explaining that MacDonald expressed his desire for Minot to do the crime by himself and not to bring anyone in on the mission. According to the witness, MacDonald called him and said he didn't want any twosome and threesome and me alone to do it. I told him that it was me one out there. That was not the truth. I lied to him because he said that I must not carry anyone in the yard. Minot claimed that MacDonald told him the murder could no longer take place at the yard because somebody had spotted him. He said he further lied to MacDonald about who had accompanied him to the yard. The trial continues today. Health official warns dengue cases still rising. Concern is being raised that there could be a further spike in dengue cases in St. James if more isn't done to rid the communities of mosquito breeding sites. It comes as the country is expected to see more rain in the coming days. Dr. Tanika Bailey-Small, acting medical officer of health for St. James, has disclosed that the Aedes aegypti mosquito population is on the rise. She is urging the public to be alert and destroy mosquito breeding sites around their homes. 13 cases of dengue have so far been confirmed in St. James, but Dr. Bailey-Small believes that number could be higher as some persons opt to stay home instead of visiting health facilities for treatment.
Of course, the eggs last for quite a long time, and so the eggs might have been laid during the dry season, but now that we're having rains, then we'll have breeding of mosquitoes. And so it's very, very important that we practice the source reduction, so the importance of getting rid of mosquito breeding sites and not creating the avenue for them to breed. And once we're able to decrease the population of mosquitoes, even if we have a greater increase in rainfall, because we would have lessened the vector, then there is less chance of transmission of dengue. Of course, the health department will be doing our larvicidal activities and our adulticidals, commonly known as fogging. But in addition to that, we also need the assistance of the public and our other stakeholders. Sometimes persons will say, okay, I'm just having the flu, so they stay home and then they end up becoming very ill, and by the time they get to seek medical attention, then they're quite ill by that time. So those are the major concerns that we have at this point. The importance of getting rid of the breeding sites, source reduction, and persons understanding when to seek medical attention as well.
Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.